all across Wisconsin from Civic Media. This is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Good morning, everybody. It is 6 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. While that music and intro usually means the one and only Pat Brightlow joins you from beautiful Lake Wissota, he is not. He is using some well-deserved time off to get some sun down south. I am Todd Allbaugh, glad to be here with you on this beautiful Wednesday morning with the one and only Greg Bach down in our studios in Waukesha. Mr. Bach, good morning to you. How the heck are you?
I'm doing well. I am just sitting here, nothing but impressed with where you are sitting. Folks,
What? Yeah.
do us a favor, get on the live stream right now. It's palatial.
We're here in our beautiful studios in Hayward, Wisconsin. Of course, Pat Brightlow usually comes to you from Lake Wissota, not too far away from here, just a little south, actually, of where we're at. And we are going to be here the rest of the week as we are covering the 50th annual American Birkebeiner Ski Race. And you say, well, geez, looking at current temperatures in Wisconsin, it is 46 degrees at the state line right now between Wisconsin and Illinois. But up here, it's a balmy 21. So it's a huge temperature difference this morning all across the state of Wisconsin. And so what they've been doing, because temperatures, particularly at night, have been getting cold enough, they've been making snow, I believe, in communities as far as an hour and a half, 2 hours away, literally trucking it in. Now, normally the Birkebeiner goes from Cable, Wisconsin, about 22 miles or so away from here to the north, down to Hayward, and would finish about a half a block where we're sitting right now, right outside of our window, which of course is dark until the sun comes up. But because of that, lack of snow and the temperatures, the race will not finish here in Hayward. They're going to do a loop. And so they brought all this snow in and they created a 10-kilometer-ish loop up in Cable. They're going to go around about 2.5 times on that loop, and that will be the Birkebeiner this year. So it's still going on. And as a matter of fact, Greg, because I'm kind of camping out here at the beautiful WBZH studios in downtown Hayward. So I went to the grocery store, very nice supermarket downtown Hayward here, and it was fabulous because you heard people with Scandinavian accents buying organic food. And it was fantastic.
Wow.
Yeah,
So-
it was.
And just for the listening audience that may comprise the higher-up management of Civic Media, what else in the Hayward studio did you say works really well?
The shower.
The shower.
Yes, we have a shower.
Shower.
We have a shower here.
Okay.
And I slept in the beautiful futon and the shower worked great. So I was up a little late last night because, we're still building things. And so we kind of put together what we hope to be a nice little set here for the next 3 days. And we're going to have people stopping by in the other chair if you're watching this on the stream. And so we'll do this show here with Greg every morning the next 3 days. And then our show normally from noon until 3, which will also be from noon until 3. It'll be normal as well. As normal as our show usually is in the afternoon.
And someday Pat will take a nap.
Yes,
Or
absolutely.
not Pat, Todd. Sorry. It's so early.
Well, maybe Pat's probably taking a nap too this time of day.
He's on a beach with an empty glass falling out of his hand. That's what he's doing right now.
Well, we're going to do our best to hold down the fort, do some of his regular segments that he usually does. And coming up at 7:30 in hour 2 this morning, our friends from the Wisconsin Education Network are going to be stopping by and talking about the elections, the results, many elections across the state of Wisconsin. Several of those for school referendums. Some passed, some didn't. So we'll update you at 7:30. And let you know what's happening in terms of education across the state of Wisconsin. Going to check the weather. And Brittany Merlot, by the way, will be here in hour number 2 as well. I'm going to talk to Brittany about El Nino. And no Spanish required in order to understand Ms. Merlot's forecast. What we're going to be talking about is, in addition to today's forecast around the state of Wisconsin, is the fact that There's no snow here for the Birkenbinder. And why are temperatures so crazy this year? And explain El Nino to us just a little bit in hour number 2. Speaking of temperatures and weather, let's check the temperatures across the state of Wisconsin. It is 11 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. You're listening to Civic Media This Morning. That's how we have to brand it when Mr. Kreitlow is away. He has the right to that name. Well, not him, but anyway. Well, beautiful day here on a Wednesday up north. It's 11 minutes past 6 o'clock. As we said, around 21 degrees here in Hayward. You go down to Eau Claire, it's 23. Over in Green Bay, about 34 degrees this morning. And then once you hit kind of south of Lake Winnebago, say down south of Fond du Lac, 42 degrees in Fond du Lac area. And then going down towards Milwaukee, about 43 as well. So you get into those low to mid 40s. In the lower third of the state, but north of Highway 29 for certain, it is freezing temperatures this morning. All of those freezing temperatures, and again, we're kind of right at the freezing mark. And so sometimes what that will produce is freezing fog. And that's certainly the case in roadways around the state of Wisconsin. Pardon me, taking a check of the 511wisconsin.gov weather road conditions right now. We can see we have slippery stretches. Basically draw a line from Green Bay over to Wausau, over to Eau Claire. Roads north of that, you're going to find some slippery stretches, particularly up in Door County this morning on Highway 29, say from Green Bay over to Wausau. Actually, there's a little pocket right around Stevens Point as well, a stretch of I-94 between Eau Claire and, say, just south of Black River Falls. Going to be slippery stretches as well. And then right around the area where we're at. Actually, in Duluth, roads are fine, but you come down south of Superior and right around where we're at, around the Hayward area. So those listening on WBZH, the Buzz of the North, over also in Amory, some of those roads could be slippery in stretches. Now, that will all dissipate as the morning goes on and the sun comes up, and temperatures will warm up nicely. Not so great for people around here for the Birkenbinder, but for the rest of us, boy, I guess the groundhog was right. Certainly some warm temperatures here. I think Greg Bach said it's going to be high 50s next week. Greg, you're looking at?
Yeah, we're supposed to, next Tuesday is supposed to be 63 where I live. Highs of 63, I should say.
That is, you're in kind of the southern part of the state down there, but yeah. It's wow. Get this. My mom, I talked to her last night.
Yeah.
She lives in southwest Wisconsin, Richland Center. She saw 3 robins yesterday in her yard. I'm not making that up.
God. I mean, I no longer, I used to be one of these people who said like, well, I can get used to this. I don't mind this. And then you talk to people like Brittany Merlot, or you listen to scientists on television. You're like, this is not good.
No, not good at all. So yeah, I feel for it, but we talked a little bit on our show yesterday. Maybe you and Jane did as well on Matt Nair on Air, that the Governor Tony Evers, is freeing up some money to help people up here in this part of the state and other places in northern Wisconsin that rely on winter tourism, particularly snowmobiling, but also skiing and other things, because this is weather is having a devastating effect up here for businesses as well.
I know that Brittany said that right now Lake Michigan has 5% ice coverage where it should have like 25%.
Wow.
And the question I had, and I don't know if you all discussed it yesterday, is that granted, this is I wouldn't even call this a mild winter. I'd say this is almost a non-existent winter.
Almost, right? I mean, in Madison, we got about 20 inches of snow over about a week, but other than that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering if this going forward, we're going to have these sort of like rainy day reserve funds for things like this, because I feel like this is where our winters are going to head. And these businesses that have been devastated with no snow and no ice, they're going to suffer. And I want them to be helped, but will this have to be now the thing? Like every year we have to free up money because we don't know if we're going to have a winter like this or a quote unquote regular winter.
Right. No, it's as they say, it's one of those things that we're going to have to start, I think, preparing for more frequently as the days go on. But other than, on the other flip side of it, heating bills are way down. So I mean, there is that, right? I mean, if you don't want to have a high heating bill, I guess move to Wisconsin during El Nino.
Winters in Wisconsin. It's tropical,
right? I mean, my grandparents who all passed now, but they were big gardeners, and they get that seed catalog, and I don't know, Jungs or whatever I think it was called, and there was like a map, and it'd say, well, these plants are zoned for this zone. And slowly over the years, if you talk to people in gardening and horticulture, the zone that was south of us has slowly crept up, and we can now grow plants that 20 years ago would freeze out.
Oh, man.
The good news, that's great news for cannabis growers, though.
I don't know what you're talking about, Todd Allbaugh. I don't know anything about that. We got a comment on the live stream from our buddy Tony Zimmerman. He said, "Whoa, cool setup, Todd." Yeah,
well,
Tony,
you. We appreciate
ask
that.
him about the shower. I'm not letting it go.
Greg's very jealous of all the things that I have a shower up here. You know, there's also a shower in the Green Bay studio. Do you know that?
All right.
I have not used that one, though. Maybe that would be my goal for this year, to use all the showers.
Todd showering in every studio Civic Media owns.
Thank God there are no cameras in there.
Got to make it for charity. Got to make it Todd showers for charity.
Well, I think I wouldn't raise too much money, Mr. Bach, but we'll see. Well, you know who a guy who is looking to raise a lot of money, and I think he's going to have an uphill battle. Giving you your morning news headlines across the state of Wisconsin this morning. It is official. As Republican, they call him Madison, but I call him OC Eric Hovde, Madison businessman. Eric Hovde formally launched his campaign for the United States Senate yesterday, bemoaning what he said was a country in decline and an American dream increasingly out of touch for many during Joe Biden's presidency. Hovde ticked off a series of problems that he sees in the U.S. under Biden, from illegal immigration to rising national debt. What he did say was the word Wisconsin, I don't think, once, and he also failed to mention that he actually lives in Orange County, California. We'll come back and talk about that. Take your phone calls as well. Give us a morning ring-a-ling, 844-967-2789, 844-967-2789. Greg and I would love to hear from you. Could talk about the Birkenbeiner, could talk about OC Eric, or anything else that's on your mind for a Civic Media this morning. Mr. Bach will come back and do that. Also update you on weather road conditions. Don't go anywhere. We are in for Pat Kreitlow, who returns next week. I'm Todd Allbaugh. He's Greg Bach. Back after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
I joined the Carpenters Union 15 years ago as an apprentice, got free training, and have been able to advance. Now I'm a superintendent, running high-profile projects in Milwaukee that change the city skyline. I'm looking for skilled and experienced carpenters. If you want to join my team with great pay, better benefits, and a chance to advance, apply today. Call 262-970-5777 and press 0 to apply. That's 262-970-5777 and press 0.
Labor shortages, retention problems, it's been a challenging time for my business. But in Wisconsin, there's 600,000 people with disabilities who are ready to work right now. They just need you to believe in them and say yes. I did.
And once you say yes, Thinkability Wisconsin will be there, providing transition and workforce support for people with disabilities and their employers to help shape a better future for all. It all starts when you say yes. Join the movement at thinkabilitywi.org.
Welcome back to Civic Media This Morning on the Civic Media Radio Network. We are in for Pat Kreitlow at Up North News, who returns next week. I'm Todd Allbaugh here in beautiful Hayward, Wisconsin, truly up north. Mr. Greg Bach is down in our beautiful studios in Waukesha, although they do not have a shower, but still a very beautiful studio. Nonetheless, but there are several box elder bugs. I believe is that the case?
Yeah, and guess what? They're not paying rent either.
Well, I'm sure it's a lovely family. They'll be fine. Glad to have you along with us on Civic Media This Morning across Wisconsin and on the Civic Media app. Remember, you can download the app on your Android or Apple device. It is free, takes less than a minute. It's what Gail King at CBS calls a deal. It is now 27 degrees here in Hayward, Wisconsin, and temperatures varying all across the state. We have mid to upper 20s here in northern Wisconsin, and all the way down kind of to just north of Green Bay and just north of Wausau as well, over to Eau Claire. Anything kind of north of that line, you're going to find slippery stretches on your roads in some places this morning. And that's because temperatures are at or just below freezing. And of course, we had a little bit of fog in places as well. And when those temperatures get to that point, it can do some of that freezing fog on Wisconsin roadways. So if you were north of the line from Green Bay, Wausau, Eau Claire, drive carefully this morning. Also around Stevens Point proper, the roadways right around there also a little slippery, and just north of La Crosse as well along the Mississippi River, I suppose some of that river fog having an effect on the roadways as well. If you're around the Madison area, Wisconsin Dells, Oshkosh, and most of the Fox Valley this morning, Appleton, Green Bay, and of course all the way down to Madison and Milwaukee, anything down in there, you're absolutely fine, as temperatures in some places are already in the lower to mid 40s this morning. So a huge contrast difference across the state of Wisconsin. So drive carefully if you are in the northern third of Wisconsin this morning. We are coming to you from our studios at WBZH in downtown Hayward. Was down at the Angler Bar last night. And I got in, I thought, well, what I need is a little pizza, you understand? And so I dialed up on the phone, and about 3 blocks away was Angler's Bar and Grill. And let me tell you, Greg Bach, if you ever find yourself in Hayward, Wisconsin, needing a pizza, fantastic. Thin crust, hot, ready to go. Yeah, great.
What are your toppings? Give me your toppings.
Very Richland Center-esque. My favorite, this is a Richland Center pizza topping. My favorite topping is simply ground beef, green olives, and cheese.
Huh.
Go to the bowling alley in Richland Center. It's a staple.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been to you're talking to a bowling kid right here. Oh yeah, I was a bowler. I bowled my. You know how like most fathers are like, "Here, son, here's a baseball mitt, or here's a football." He's like, "Here's a ball, roll it down." From 5 until nearly 18, I bowled.
Wow, were you in a league?
Yep, every week, every Saturday.
See, I was never that good. I was like, I was an average at best bowler in middle school and high school, and I was like, I'd have every 3 months I'd have a game where it's like, oh my God, I could be in a league, and then the next 20 games were terrible. So, I was an inconsistent bowler, put it that way.
Also, if you ever find yourself in the Racine area,
yes,
check out a place called Wells Brothers Pizza.
Really?
It was voted top 10 pizza in the country. It's thin crust. Racine's known for their thin crust pizza. And I'm sure they can throw ground beef, green olives, and whatever else you want.
Whatever else. All right, I'll check it out. I fantasize because I was a big Laverne and Shirley fan, and I always fantasize about going into a pizza place like Mr. DeFazio's with the bowling alley and the pizza and the beer and Schlitz,
I don't know if any of those exist anymore.
I know, right? But yeah, here and there you can still find them, but particularly in small towns. And last night here in Hayward, Angler's Pizza. So
Angler's Pizza, good to know.
Yep, stop by and check it out. Eric Hovde, OC, Orange County. Eric Hovde is angling to be in the United States Senate. Interested in your thoughts on this? Give us a call, 844-967-2789, 844-967-2789. Also text us on the Civic Media app as well. So Eric Hovde, who lives in Orange County, California, in a palatial multi-million-dollar mansion, has some ties to Wisconsin. And, the Republicans were not satisfied with the butt whooping that they got with Tim Michels in the gubernatorial race a couple of years ago. They said, look, we tried it once with a multimillionaire from out of state. Hey, that wasn't good. Let's try it again. Because, if something doesn't work, you just repeat it and it'll be fine. And they're going up against incumbent Democratic U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin. I've talked about this on our show in the afternoon. Here's what I can tell you about Tammy Baldwin. She is one of the most relatable people you'll ever want to meet. And what she's done, although she's certainly a Democrat and certainly supports, progressive issues, she has kept a pledge to be everyone's senator. And she's traveled around the state of Wisconsin. And I tell this story particularly in the Wisconsin Dells, where you have, kind of referred to as the boys. The boys up in the Dells, because it's mostly guys who run these businesses like Noah's Ark and Kalahari and the old Tommy Bartlett Ski Sky and Stage Show and all these things. And here's a couple of things that a lot of people might not know when you go up there and splash around. Number one, roads are particularly important to the Wisconsin Dells because they get a lot of their business from Chicago and the suburbs in that area and also the Twin Cities. What do you need to get there? Good roads. Tammy Baldwin has done a remarkable job in getting infrastructure money even before President Biden's historic bipartisan infrastructure bill. Tammy Baldwin helped to get dollars in to improve roadways between the Dells or Wisconsin and the Twin Cities and Chicago in particular. The other thing that, of course, when I was growing up as a kid, a big thing was, geez, I hope I can get a job in the Dells this summer. And you drive, 45 minutes an hour and you work in the Dells. Well, now you can't find kids in Wisconsin, or very few, that want to do those jobs for the summer. And so most of the workers in the Dells are from other countries, from Eastern Europe, from the Caribbean, from Central and South America. And Tammy Baldwin has worked tirelessly with these owners, most of whom are normally Republicans, to help them get workers for their businesses. Tammy Baldwin is remarkably popular with, quote unquote, the boys in the Dells, who give out a lot of money normally to Republicans who back her 100%, because what she's really good at, she and her staff, are constituent relations. And that's where you build a campaign. If you've never been in politics, that's where you build a campaign. It's not just going on a campaign trail 5 months before a campaign or an election. You have to build it. And no one's done it better than Tammy Baldwin. I think Eric Huffney has a huge uphill climb. And don't forget, there's another guy, this mayor's guy, who's a multimillionaire businessman, Republican, thinking about running as well. And also, how about David All Hat, No Cattle Clark, former sheriff of Milwaukee? I mean, this guy wants to run so bad, his teeth hurt, and Republicans don't want it. I mean, he's even too far a whack job for the mega Republicans. So it could just be a heck of a lot of fun. Stay tuned. We have more from up north. We are filling in for Pat Kreitlow. I'm Todd Allbaugh. He's Greg Bach. More live from Hayward after this on Civic Media.
The city of Green Bay is one of the best places in Wisconsin to live. Plenty of people that are Wisconsin nice.
Totally agree. Green Bay is kind of swing territory between the two parties, but people in Green Bay work together. I mean, people aren't asking themselves, am I wearing a red hat or a blue hat? They're wearing green and gold hats.
The Todd Allbaugh Show, weekdays noon till 2 on your local Civic Media radio station and on the app. You can always continue the conversation on social media. Share your thoughts when you find and follow Civic Media on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Hey, let me introduce you to the new president of the Wisconsin Cattlemen's Association. I'm Pam Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Wednesday morning. Quick look at what's happening in agribusiness news. She is a Missouri native now raising red Angus cattle in Rio, along with her husband, Nolan. Her name, Tressa Lacey. And she says one of her goals as the new president of the Wisconsin Cattlemen's Association is reach more members.
As a membership-driven organization, everybody involved with Cattlemen's is volunteers. And I really want to make people aware to that, especially whenever we talk about policy. We are the voice, but we're the voice because our members give us that voice. And so I really want to increase membership involvement. So part of that is going to our affiliates and having that discussion about the fact that just because you're a member of your affiliate and they are a member of us doesn't make you a member of Cattlemen's. And then really try to just increase our reach across the state because we have, 10,000 beef producers in the state and we do not have that membership to match.
There you go. The new president of the Wisconsin Cattlemen's Association. That's Tressa Lacey, raising red Angus beef herself in Rio. Want to be involved with that organization? You can find out details at wisconsincattlemen.com. Markets and overnight electronic trade losing some of the steam we gained yesterday. Numbers are next. Fabulous Farm Babe. Glad to be joined in studio today by Doug Munson. He is the gentleman that is working in conjunction with the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board to make things happen here in the state of Wisconsin. What starts in Wisconsin can have a ripple effect across the United States.
That's what we always hope for is what are those ripple effects? For every dollar that's invested, it's a return of $12.34. How those investments really bring value, they can be debated or they can be looked at in many different ways. Biodiesel brings, I think we say over $1 now. Years ago before inflation, we'll say it was 63 cents to a bushel of soybeans that brought that value. Whether it's 63 cents or it's $1, it's $1.34, which we've heard as high as that amount. That's a huge amount of value to your bushel of soybeans. So those are the things that are ripple effects, right? That can start in Wisconsin or sometimes at the national level, but have big impact in the world of soybean.
Doug Munson in studio with me on behalf of the Wisconsin Soybean Association and the Wisconsin Soybean Marketing Board, the financial driving force behind our research that's done here in the state of Wisconsin. For more, pop on over to cornsoyexpo.org. So the barrel cheese was unchanged yesterday in Chicago. 40-pound block cheese did gain 4 1/4 cents to 152 1/4. Double A butter was up 2.5 cents on Tuesday to 277.5 per pound. The Class 3 fluid milk for March currently down a nickel at $16.94. April milk's unchanged at $17.15. Losing ground on our corn. December corn right now down a penny, $4.62. November soybeans currently down a nickel at $11.52. July wheat down 3 at $5.77 a bushel. Dow Jones Industrial Average right now down more than 70 points as well. Just a quick snapshot on where the numbers stand. Rolling into a Wednesday trade session. I am Farm Director Pam Yankee.
This is the Shaw, WAUK.
It is going to be mostly sunny and mild today. We'll get to around 54 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 35. Tomorrow, a little light rain in the morning, then partly cloudy, 49. On Friday, sunny, 38. But we will bounce back with 40s and 50s into the weekend. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Current temp now 37.
Covering all the news that affects you with humor and a unique perspective. Matinaire on Air with Jane Matinaire. Weekdays 10 till noon on the Shaw, 101.1 FM and 540 AM WAUK, and on the Civic Media app.
Hey, son, how are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it.
When your kid can't find the language, find the lyrics. Start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Keeping Southeast Wisconsin informed.
Welcome back to Civic Media this morning on the Civic Media Radio Network. We are filling in for Up North News Radio. Pat Kreitlow, some well-deserved time off. He'll be back next week. I am Todd Allbaugh, filling in this morning, along with Greg Bach down in our studios in Waukesha, Wisconsin. The Shaw, glad to have you along. Here at our studios in Hayward, Wisconsin. That sounded a little Olympic Village-esque there, Mr. Bach. We have a lot of Scandinavians in town here in Hayward, Wisconsin for the 50th annual Birkebeiner, which we'll be covering the next 3 days. And it was really cool last night at the grocery store up here. You heard all these great accents and people in fantastic shape buying healthy food. And I'm like, why couldn't this be me?
I walk in and be like, Hey, you guys got melted cheese? You have cheese that's already melted.
No, it's really fantastic. And I think one of the cool parts about the Birkenbinder is that it does bring so many folks from other countries here to Wisconsin. And I talked to a couple of people just in line, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's weird not having snow," but they said some of the places in Europe going through some of the same things. So we're not alone. So we shall see. It is a bit of an odd morning in terms of weather, depending upon where you're at and listening to us across the state of Wisconsin. If you're listening in on WLAK in Amory this morning, it's going to be around. Let's check the temperatures around 25 or so ish. Currently, it is around 26 right now here in Hayward. Over near Green Bay, about 34 degrees, and in Wausau, 27. But then you go down to, say, Oshkosh right now, WISS and Oshkosh, looking at around 37 degrees this morning. And down where Greg Bach is at this morning in Milwaukee and Racine and Kenosha, low 40s, 45 right now, just south of Madison near the state line in Greene County, near the Illinois state line. And around, go over to La Crosse this morning, mid-20s right now, around 25 degrees. So in that kind of that south central and southeast corner of the state, well into the 30s, in some places 40s this morning. North of that, and particularly western and northern Wisconsin, you're going to find 20s this morning. And that is causing some slick roads across the state of Wisconsin. Checking the state roadways this morning. If you take a line from Green Bay up to Wausau and then over to Eau Claire, north of that, a lot of the roadways this morning, even some of the main roadways, are reporting slippery stretches. Also, just north of La Crosse and right around now the city of La Crosse, as we go on here in the morning, particularly along the Mississippi River, those roadways are going to be slippery as well. A lot of that is due to that morning fog hitting that cold roadways, and that kind of makes that automatic freezing on the roadways for that freezing fog. Get south of that line, though, say south of Madison and over to the Fox Valley and over to Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, Richland Center. You are in good driving situation, everything on time this morning. We'll continue to update you on the weather and the roads this morning. Right now, it is 37 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock. Greg Bach going to take a look at some sports scores from last night, as Pat Kreitler likes to do in the morning. I listened to the game on the Civic Media app because, of course, no television, but it was all for the best because I love listening to Matt LePay and Brian Butch on the Badger Network, which you can hear right here on Civic across many of our stations. It was a tough game. The Badgers have been struggling as of late, but they got a nice win last night. Wisconsin wins over Maryland by a score of 74-70. Came down to like the last 5 seconds for Wisconsin to ice it and put it away. Did you listen or watch any of it last night?
I was not able to. I was working in the evening, I had some friends who were heavily invested. They love Badger sports.
And of course you couldn't really watch it anyway because it was on the Peacock, which of course I have feelings about the Peacock streaming network. And
what's your feelings?
I don't like it. It's goofy. It's goofy. I mean, you should not be putting a major sporting event on something you could only stream on an obscure network like Peacock. I mean, it's goofy. I mean, you could put it on CBS. You could put it on your ESPNs. You could put it on your FS1, your Fox. There's a Big Ten network. I mean, Peacock.
Do you know where I watched a lot of baseball games last year?
Where?
Apple TV Plus.
Well, I have that.
I've gotten to the crux of this despisement of the Peacock. You just don't want to spend another $10 a month.
That's exactly right. You've hit it on the head. That is the crux of my opposition. The fact that I don't have it, I don't want to pay anymore. I've got 2 streaming services. I got Apple and I got the Paramount Plus.
That's all you have?
Yes. Because otherwise, I'm a broadcaster cable kind of guy. I'm not gonna have like Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and Max. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Got all of them.
Do you really have all those?
I got all of those, all the ones you said, and more. And I'm gonna stop talking now because we have so many.
Do you have cable as well?
No, we do not. But
all right,
we probably now pay twice the amount of cable.
That's crazy, isn't it? But see, if you want to watch the things you want to watch, they force you to basically do that.
Well, I mean, most of the TV shows that I want to watch, even the newer ones, I mean, they go to Hulu the next day, Paramount Plus. That's what I call it, Paramount Plus. They're all on the next day, and honestly, like, I'm busy, and I'm not staying up late to watch late night or SNL, so they're always where I need them to be the next day. So.
It's a conundrum, that's for sure. But if you wanted to watch the game last night, you had to watch it on Peacock, or better yet, listen to it on the Civic Media app via the Badger Network. And Matt LePay does a great job. Milwaukee Bucks, of course, were off as they after the All-Star game. Marquette, number 7 in the country, tries to get back on track tonight after that tough loss to UConn. Marquette taking on DePaul tonight at the Fiserv Forum at 8 p.m. So looking forward to that. I finally got myself, I know you've been there a lot, Greg, but I finally got myself to Fiserv Forum a couple, 3 weeks ago. Went to a Marquette game. Very impressed. Shaka Smart and the team do a great job. Great atmosphere, great student section. And wow, what a fantastic facility. So.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it really is. I know, Greg, you are a baseball guy, a Brewers guy, pitchers and catchers reporting this week. And, of course, the first spring training game coming up this weekend on Saturday. People can listen to that also on several of our Civic Media stations. Can't stream that, unfortunately, because it's a major league sport and they have certain rules and lawyers that tell us we can't do that. But you can listen to it on places like WRCE in Southwest Wisconsin, Richland Center, I believe WRJN. In Racine, Kenosha, Amory, WLAK, and maybe Wisconsin Rapids. I forget whether they carry Brewers baseball or not, but lots of places you can listen.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be unmitigated chaos this season.
Well, we did the show yesterday in the afternoon show, noon till 3 from Chippewa Falls yesterday, and we had our Civic Media News anchor James Kelly on the show talking about healthcare. But as it turns out, he's also a baseball nut. I mean, he really knows the sport. He covered it when he was out working in New York, and he's also got right in. He knows the Brewers, maybe not quite as well as you, but very, very well indeed. He thinks that from a base, he doesn't have a vested interest, of course, in the Brewers coming from New York. He's cheering for him. He thinks that the Brewers are still good to win the Central this year. What say you?
I mean, so we had Paul Noonan on last week, and he said that I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, it's Paul Noonan. I thought he said Paul Newman.
Okay. All right.
It's early, my God.
Yes, we had Paul Newman, and then after that we had Anthony Quinn on to talk about hockey, and no, we had Paul Noonan. We had Paul Noonan on. He said one of the two major perspective companies that look at baseball teams and where they're going to go, they have us finishing not so well. But as I heard on a clip today on Civic Media News Updates, Mark Antonaccio, the owner, said that last year the Cardinals were picked to win the division, and they did anything but.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's going to be a lot of new blood on the field. There's going to be, Christian Yelich is starting to move into that elder statesman of the team where he's the leader, but now he's becoming the Ryan Braun figure now.
Right.
And it'll just be if we get, and what he said was we haven't signed Brandon Woodruff yet. He's not there yet, but I think that's an important person to keep on the team. We need that leading guy on the mound. I don't know what to think about this season other than I feel like anything can happen. They can finish dead last or they can go all the way. And either way, I would be shocked by neither.
Well, certainly the Cubs game is going to be interesting this year with Craig Counsell, that traitor that he is. Maybe a nice guy, but still a traitor. Went down to the Cubs.
The Chicago who? I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, those are just going to be, I can't imagine the atmosphere, particularly in Milwaukee this year when the Cubbies come to town.
Well, I think that, we all as Brewers fans went through an initial about 12-hour shock, sad betrayal. And then as the news started to roll out and details started to become available, I feel like there will be fans who will boo him. But I think if you are a true Brewers fan and you love Craig Counsell, which I do, you knew you had to make the move because the Brewers weren't going to shell out the dough to keep him. And that's not on Craig Counsell. He's got to go where the the support is. And we got a live stream comment from Papa Rico, one of our regulars.
Papa Rico up early. What does Papa Rico
I
say?
know. He's very up early. He said, will Civic Media be giving away them great Brewers tickets again this year? Not sure.
No, I can tell you the answer is yes. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that, but nobody told me I couldn't. So
Todd Allbaugh with the breaking news here at Civic Media on the Pat Kreitlow Show starring Todd Allbaugh.
That's funny.
We got,
yeah.
Well, all right then.
No, that's true. We are going to have our Brewer tickets again and be carrying Brewers baseball, of course. So yes, I don't think they've Luke Mathers, of course, is the keeper here at Civic Media of all the Brewer tickets. He gets them all for the season, and he keeps them in a beautifully bound leather satchel throughout the year, and he brings it out every so often, and he gives away tickets. So, but yes, we will be giving away tickets. So it's going to be an exciting season. All kinds of chances to end up down there at AmFam Field.
Absolutely.
It should be a lot of fun. Well, there you go. Greg Bach saying that it could be, as my former broadcasting partner Kevin O'Connor was fond of saying, great potential for disaster. It could go either way.
Welcome to the Brewers.
But it is weird, right? I mean, you said Christian Yelich being kind of this elder statesman, and I remember him as he was just a kid, just a young guy, posing naked in the SI Naked Edition or Body Issue, whatever that is.
That's right.
And he probably could, by the way. I'd have no problem with that. But anyway, it was a great issue, by the way. It was a great. I stood in line for hours in that checkout.
I read it for the articles, Pat. Or Todd. I guess I'm calling you Pat. It's like I can't call anyone, like everyone's Pat to me until 8:00.
Really, that's true? You just call everybody Pat until 8:00.
Do you know why I pulled you over? I don't, Pat.
It is 47 minutes past the hour of 6:00. You're listening to Civic Media This Morning with Greg Bach and Waukesha. I'm Todd Allbaugh here in beautiful Hayward, Wisconsin, our studios at WBZH. Temperatures kind of goofy if you look at the state of Wisconsin this morning. Up north where we are at, temperatures in the low to mid 20s right now. Approaching 30 degrees as you move down towards Wausau. And then, of course, over the western side of the state, around the La Crosse area, just north of La Crosse along the Mississippi River this morning, some high 20s, right around that freezing mark at 32. That is causing for some slick roadways. Wisconsin DOT reporting slick roads just north of Green Bay over in Door County and then up towards Marinette. Also, as you take Highway 29 from Green Bay over to Wausau, you might see some slippery stretches there. Also between Wausau and Eau Claire, a few slippery stretches on 29. Up where we're at here in Hayward, Wisconsin, just south of Duluth Superior, going to find some slippery roads there as well. Otherwise, the southern part of the state, Fox Valley, Madison, Milwaukee, Racine, Kenosha, all those areas in good winter driving condition this morning. We'll continue to monitor that. Brittany Merlot stops by next hour to give us a complete weather forecast and talk El Nino as well. We're going to come back on the other side, give you some national news headlines, what's going on. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the charges against them, they were all made up. Say what? And now the Department of Justice coming with some new details about the person who brought those charges and what his motives may have been. Could Russia have been involved? I'm shocked. Stay tuned. We have more from Up North here on Civic Media This Morning. I'm Todd Allbaugh on the Civic Media Radio Network.
A message to you.
Schwaba.
Most of us can agree we should have the freedom to make our own medical decisions. Politicians should have no role at all, but not California mega millionaire Eric Hovde. Hovde said, I am totally opposed to abortion, and I'm 100% pro-life. And he supported overturning Roe v. Wade, the court case that protected abortion rights. Hovde's been supported by Wisconsin Right to Life, an extreme anti-abortion group that supports banning abortion, even in cases of rape and incest, and threatens doctors and nurses with criminal charges for providing abortion care. With views like that, Hovde could be a crucial vote in favor of a national abortion ban, letting politicians decide what's right for women. Call Eric Hovde at his California office at 714-730-4444. Tell him his position on abortion is dangerous for Wisconsin women. Paid for by a Better Wisconsin.
From Russia with love, I fly to you, much wiser since my...
Welcome back to Civic Media this morning, live from Hayward, Wisconsin. We are filling in for Up North News and Pat Kreitlow, who will be back next week. Nicely done, Greg Bach down there, engineering and producing this morning in our studios in Waukesha. That's a great song. I haven't heard that song in years.
I know, it's so good.
Right?
We got some great we got a really nice live stream comment for you from Heather please forgive me. Galoy. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning. You look like Brent Musburger covering the Winter Olympics in Norway. Fantastic.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And
Heather.
Papa Rico saying, checking in from Rock County, a balmy 45 degrees.
Wow, 45 degrees in Rock County. We're 27 here in Hayward. I mean, that's crazy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, something. But the groundhog, of course, is yucking it up in his cave right now because he's, see, look, I was right. He's very happy about this because he's only right about 40% of the time, as it turns out. But this year,
Tony Zimmerman saying Ashland is 30. Wow.
Ooh, wow.
It's just not a February day, like a normal February day.
No. And of course, people here for the 50th Annual American Birkenbiner wish it would get much colder, but they are making snow. And some of the races start as early as this morning. So we'll have more about that in hour 2 as well. Greg Bach played a little Russia from Love, or from Russia with Love, I should say. This morning, fresh off the wires, indicted ex-FBI informant told investigators he got Hunter Biden dirt from Russian intelligence officials. Now, this is, the more we learn about this story, the more fantastic, a little bit tragic as well, but the more fantastic it is. Because, of course, the Republicans and Chuck Grassley from Iowa here about a year ago came up with these charges and said, well, there are all these things going on with Burisma over in Ukraine, and Hunter Biden and Joe Biden were corrupt, and they got a lot of money, and they're terrible people, and we should go after them. Well, it turns out last week the Department of Justice released a lengthy investigation into this dude who brought those allegations, never proven, by the way. And it turns out everything was false. This was all made up. And we talked about this in the afternoon show, that there was an analysis done on Fox News alone. Forget about the rest of them. Just on Fox News alone, that Fox News repeated these lies about the Bidens and Burisma and Ukraine on average of 7 times a day for over a year. 7 times a day. Nearly once an hour in prime time, every day for a year. And we wonder why we're so divided. We wonder why people have these ideas that simply aren't true, because if you're only getting your news from one source and they're pounding it into your head time and time again, what do you expect? Well, now this morning, according to CNN, the former FBI informant charged with lying about the Biden's dealings in Ukraine told investigators after his arrest that Russia intelligence officials were involved in passing information to him about Hunter Biden. That according to prosecutors from yesterday in a new court filing, noting that the information was false. Prosecutors also said that Alexander Smirnov, now Greg Bach here, a comedian, any relation to me? Think that Alexander Smirnov is Yakov Smirnov? Remember him?
Oh yeah.
One of the great comedians
in the U.S. Congress. Truth lies to you. What?
I'm not sure. I was going to say I don't think it's any relation, but we don't know that. You understand? But anyway, this part is actually real. Prosecutors said Alexander Smirnoff has been, quote, actively peddling new lies that could impact U.S. elections, unquote, after meeting with Russian spies late last year, and that the fallout from his previous false bribery accusations about the Bidens, quote, continues to be felt to this day, unquote. Here's the Department of Justice has done an in-depth investigation on this guy, Alexander Smirnoff, and saying that the lies that he and the bribery accusations, the lies, continue to be felt to this day. They're still having impacts on the way people view the election, the way that people view the Bidens. All lies, as it turns out. Smirnoff claims to have, quote, extensive and extremely recent, unquote, contacts with foreign intelligence officials, according to prosecutors. They said he previously told the FBI that his long-standing and extensive contacts with Russian spies, including individuals he said were high-level intelligence officers or command Russian assets abroad and assassins abroad. So think about this. Here's a guy who's saying that he recently had contact with high-level Russian intelligence officials, some of whom were assassins abroad. And this is who the Republicans pinned their entire hopes on to take down the Bidens. I mean, it's astounding. And I'm not joking around when I say this. Next thing I'm going to say. This guy should be under some sort of protection plan, Alexander Smirnoff, because we saw what happened last week in Russia to opposition leaders or people who will go against Putin. They suddenly just take a walk and fall down and die. Or they get too close to a window and trip. Or they eat something and just start foaming at the mouth. Who knows? This is Putin. This is absolutely Putin, hook, line, and sinker. And to think that there's not Russian assets already here on U.S. soil who could take this guy out and stop him from singing, think again. And this is the path we're going down with MAGA Republicans, with Trumpism. He absolutely idolizes people like Putin. Take out your opposition. Just have lies broadcasted on national TV. 7 times a day on Fox News, this lie about the Bidens has been perpetrated. It's no wonder people are divided and don't know what the truth is from facts. We are here to bring you the truth every day with Pat Kreitlow, Up North News. He is on vacation. He'll be back next week. I'm Todd Allbaugh. Greg Bach is in Waukesha. We are live here in beautiful Hayward, Wisconsin for the 50th Annual American Birkebeiner. We'll talk about that. Also, education, Wisconsin Education Network folks will stop by at 7:30. Brittany Merlot talks about El Nino. Wouldn't it be fantastic if she did the whole thing in Spanish? I'm not sure if she's bilingual or not, but we'll ask her. So stay tuned. All kinds of great things coming up in hour number 2 here on what would be Up North News. We're calling it Civic Media this morning for today, tomorrow, and Friday. We'll be back on the other side. Stay tuned for national news next. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network.
Tongue-tied, young pride would not.
AM and 101.1 FM WAUK. Enjoying this local program? Find the complete Civic Media lineup at civicmedia.us or the Civic Media app.
Do you know or work with kids who have special healthcare needs? Help them live their best lives. Contact Wisconsin Wayfinder Children's Resource Network. Our specialists will connect you with services in your area. Wisconsin Wayfinder is free and confidential. Call 877-947-2929 or visit dhs.wi.gov/WISCWAY. Connect today. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services.
You are listening to The Shaw, WAUK 540 AM Jackson, W266DR Waukesha, and always streaming on the Civic Media app.
This is the CBS News World News Roundup, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. I'm Deborah Rodriguez. The Republican presidential candidates are trying to round up votes ahead of Saturday's primary in South Carolina. Nikki Haley zeroing in on Donald Trump's legal troubles.
He's gotten more unstable and unhinged. He spends more time in courtrooms than he does on the campaign trail.
After criticism over his lack of a direct response to the death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, Mr. Trump told a Fox town hall.
Navalny is a very sad situation, and he's very brave. He was a very brave guy because he went back. He could have stayed away. And frankly, probably would have been a lot better off staying away and talking from outside of the country as opposed to having to go back in, because people thought that could happen, and it did happen.
In Russia today,
Navalny's mother has now filed a lawsuit over Russian officials' refusal to release her son's body, but it won't be heard in court before next month. She's been trying to retrieve his body since last Saturday, a day after he died. Navalny's widow claims the Kremlin is refusing to release his body as part of a cover-up. The cause of his death is still unknown.
Correspondent Cammie McCormick reports a dual Russian-American citizen, a ballerina, has been charged with treason in Russia after she donated $50 to a Ukrainian charity. Lawyers for the American government are arguing at court in London today for the extradition of WikiLeaks' Julian Assange. CBS's Vicki Barker has details from London.
Day 2 of the two-day hearing here, and U.S. prosecutors are arguing why Julian Assange must face espionage charges in the U.S. over leaked classified documents. The WikiLeaks founder hasn't been in court for this last-ditch attempt to prevent his extradition. His wife and lawyer says he's too frail.
Little girl has died after playing in the sand at the beach with a friend in Fort Lauderdale. CBS Miami's Anna McAllister says they were digging a hole with shovels.
That hole was about 5 to 6 feet deep when it collapsed, completely trapping the girl under the sand while the boy was buried up to his chest on top of her.
Beachgoers dug furiously to try to save the child. Jacqueline Ellis still has hope her pet survived after California's pounding rain and windstorms this week knocked her house down in Auburn.
I think my cat might still be buried under there because he hasn't come home and I can't find him. He was in the house when it happened.
As the FDA considers banning sales of menthol cigarettes, a new study shows it could go a long way to reducing smoking rates. Here's CBS's Michael George.
Researchers in North Carolina looked at menthol bans in Canada, Europe, and elsewhere. They found while 50% of menthol smokers switched to non-menthol cigarettes, almost a quarter of menthol smokers quit altogether.
S&P futures down 12. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
For Civic Media News, I'm Nate Wuggyhout. Here's what Wisconsin needs to know. The University of Wisconsin in Madison must now accept all high school graduates from the state who finish in the top 5% of their class. All other state universities have to admit grads who finish in the top 10%. The new law is part of the deal to release state money in exchange for diversity program cuts. Governor Evers signed the bill into law Tuesday. Wisconsin State Senate Republicans are firing 4 more of Governor Evers' appointees, including former Lieutenant Governor Barbara Lawton. She was serving on the UW Hospitals and Clinics Board. Democratic Senator Kelda Roys.
She did nothing but serve our state well and continues to do so. And yet this body is going to reject her because of pure partisanship.
Republicans also fired Tom Ames from the Natural Resources Board. I'm Nate Wuggyhout, Civic Media News.
The Brewers expect to win. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. That's what Brewers owner Mark Antanasio told reporters at the team's spring training camp in Arizona. Despite releasing several veterans and trading Corbin Burns to Baltimore, the Brewers owner says he has an expectation to win this year. He went on to say there's no deal finalized yet to re-sign Brandon Woodruff to a 2-year contract. College hoops, number 7th-ranked Marquette will play their next 3 games at home beginning tonight against DePaul. Golden Eagles have played 6 of their last 8 on the road. The Badgers got a win over Maryland in Madison. The final 74-70, thanks to efficient shots from the foul line, 28 of 31. Green Bay Packer A.J. Dillon was at the game courtside.
Hey, it's been awesome.
awesome. It's always great coming down to Madtown. My wife is an alum. My sister-in-law is a cheerleader. So we're repping Wisconsin cheerleading and the basketball team today. It's great to come down and show support.
That's Packers running back A.J. Dillon. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
It is going to be mostly sunny and mild today. We'll get to around 54 for a high this afternoon. The wind out of the southwest at 5 to 10. Tonight, mostly cloudy, 35. Tomorrow, a little light rain in the morning, then partly cloudy, 49. On Friday, sunny, 38. But we will bounce back with 40s and 50s into the weekend. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. Right now, it's 39.
This is your local Civic Media radio station. Want to hear even more? Anytime? Find all of it at civicmedia.us. Waukesha, home of Les Paul, our awesome farmers market, and the Shaw.
All across Wisconsin from Civic Media, this is Up North News Radio. Now, live from our Lake Wissota studio, here's the founding editor of Up North News, Pat Brightlow.
Good morning, and it is now 6 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. This is normally where you would find Pat Kreitlow and Up North News. Right now, he is somewhere south, Mr. Kreitlow is, getting a little well-deserved rest and time off. Up North News with Pat will be back next week. Right now, I'm Todd Allbaugh reporting live here from our Hayward studios at WBZH, the Buzz of the North in downtown Hayward, as we prepare today for the kickoff of the 50th annual American Birkenbeiner ski race, which would normally go from Cable to Hayward here in downtown. But because of the warm temperatures and lack of snow, they're making snow in the evenings and doing a 10-kilometer loop in the Cable area, but we'll still be talking to people throughout the week involved with the Birkenbeiner. Still a big thing here for people in the Hayward area as well. Cable's only about 20 miles or so north of here, so it's kind of a greater Cable Hayward area. So here all week, and Mr. Greg Bach, per usual, joins us from the studios at WAUK down in the southern part of the state in Waukesha. Mr. Bach, how in the heck are you?
I'm great.
Really? Are you really? Or are you just
okay?
Talk to us.
Okay, here's the thing. Your setup is gorgeous, dare I say palatial.
Well, it looks better on camera, but thanks. I appreciate it.
Todd, it's called a compliment. Take it, say thank you. Move on.
Thank
All
you.
right. Then DJ Flip Switch comes into the mix here from her home with a gorgeous set layout, beautiful camera work. And then I look like I am broadcasting from an abandoned hospital.
Oh, come on now. You look fantastic. Look, it has the nice Waukesha sign behind you. That's fine.
The sign looks beautiful. I mean, Don't get me wrong. That's the work of Rebecca.
Right.
God love her.
Right.
But like, hey, everybody, I'm here to bring you radio. I'm your Uncle Ronnie. Yeah.
I will say Todd's setup, though, it's got the firewood and everything. So relaxing.
Well, thank you. Joining us is our fantastic meteorologist, Brittany Merlot. Brittany, how the heck are you? Sorry.
Okay.
I need more coffee. It's been a short night. Put it that way.
He's feeling the Hayward vibes. We need
Yes,
snow
that's
up
exactly
there,
it. At least I'm not as bad as the CNN reporter reporting the White House yesterday. Did you see that? It was fantastic. She said right during the broadcast on CNN, she said that Biden was because he wants to get tougher and talk about all the crazy bleep that Trump is doing. And she said the word. So at least I didn't go there. I didn't go there yet this morning. Brittany Merlot, it's great to have you on. How in the world are you? She is a fantastic meteorologist here. And I was talking to Greg Bach earlier. Happy that we're going to have you on because temperatures here in Hayward this morning, I think we're at 27 at last check. And in parts of northern Wisconsin, we are in the mid to upper 20s, right near that freezing mark, as you well know, is causing for some slick roads. But in the southern part of the state, already in the 40s, Brittany, as Craig Kilborn once said, what up?
Seriously, right? So we've got this low pressure system that is hanging out into Iowa, and it's going to be pushing northwest throughout the state today. So you can see the warm temperatures sitting down south. I mean, it's 45 degrees into Middleton right now, but then you go north, it is 18 degrees into Merrill. So a huge temperature difference. But what's going to happen as we go through our day today is we're going to see some near record warmth down south. We're talking mid to upper 50s and towards Madison, Richland Center, even in Janesville as well. So extreme heat and warmth as the low pressure nears. It's going to pull those winds out of the south and give us some nice temperatures, but sunshine throughout the day, and up north we'll climb into the low 50s, upper 40s, closer to Lake Superior and Hayward area, but just some above average temperatures. I mean, this is 20 degrees above where we should be for this time of year. In fact, our low temperatures is where our highs are usually.
That's just crazy. Talk to us. I'm not sure if you're a bilingual or even if you need to be, but explain to us a little bit about El Nino, because my understanding is that part of these wacky temperatures and lack of snow here at the American Pumpkin Planter at Hayward is due to the El Nino.
Absolutely. So these warmer temperatures, the above average winter, and the lack of snowfall and precipitation are all signs of El Nino winters. Now, we do have some good news as we go into spring, but that's not going to help the Berkey. It does rapidly want to flip to a La Nina. So that's going to give us an active spring system as we move forward in the next few months. But right now, it's not helping the Berkey. I know they've struggled in years past and had to cancel it. So I'm glad that they're still doing something and they're figuring out ways to make the snow. And what a great event. If you've never been,
Oh, yeah.
go
Have you been
and
to
bring
it?
the cowbell. Oh, I love it. I go all the time.
That's fantastic. Are you coming over this week?
You know, I wish, but it is my mom's birthday this weekend, so I've got to go south to see her.
I did something both for you really special. I want to let you know. I secured a guest for this hour. Yeah, I did. I secured the guest. This is El Nino. He's going to talk to me really quick about. So really quick here, El Nino. Introduce yourself.
I am El Nino. All other tropical storms must bow before El Nino. Yo soy El Nino. For those of you who don't habla español, El Nino is Spanish for the Nino.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nino. We appreciate you being on the show today.
That was great. The incomparable Chris Farley, right?
Yeah, that was Chris Farley. That was when he hosted Saturday Night Live. He hosted, and he would have been 60.
Wow. And yeah, I saw that this week, right? I mean, what a God-given talent.
Yeah.
And he was taken way too soon, but what a treasure for the state of Wisconsin and America and the world. The mind, the talent of Chris Farley. I mean, he could make me laugh almost anything he did.
Yeah. He was a good soul. He was a good man.
Yeah. I met him once at a political fundraiser tailgate in Madison, and he did the whole shtick of, living by eating government cheese, living in the van down by the river. It was just to see him, and he did it, and of course it was fantastic, and people went crazy. And then you met him, and he was just like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" Yeah. He's like super shy and just chill, Yeah. Did you meet him, Greg?
I never got a chance to meet him. No, my friend was the recipient of the first Chris Farley scholarship at Marquette University.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I just, he's Chris Farley. He was amazing. So
Yeah,
wanted to play that for you.
I appreciate that, Greg. That's fantastic. So, Brittany Merlot, what can we expect the rest of the week here after it's going to stay warm here the rest of the week for most of Wisconsin?
Well, it's definitely going to stay sunny all week long and into the weekend. So we have bright and beautiful skies. We'll be really warm, about 20 degrees above average today, soaring to the mid to upper 50s. And then tomorrow we'll drop just a few degrees. So mid to low 50s around the state, some upper 40s to the north. And we could see a little bit of some precipitation tonight down in towards Milwaukee, maybe Madison, just a little bit of sprinkles overnight, nothing major. Otherwise, a cooler Friday. Get ready for Friday. The winds are going to pull out of the north and drop us to highs in the upper 20s to low 30s. But we rebound for next week, near 60. So
yeah,
we're everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, good gosh, in the 60s, we're still in February. That's just crazy, right? And then looking around the state of Wisconsin, DOT reporting some slippery stretches up in Door County, north of Green Bay, Highway 29 between Green Bay and Wausau. Then over parts of our area as well here in the Hayward area this morning. Those and also over by on the western part of the state along the Mississippi River, around and just north of La Crosse. Brittany, do you expect those road conditions will be better here later in the morning as temperatures kind of warm above freezing?
Yeah, absolutely. So they're seeing some patchy fog right now and some freezing mist. So it's creating some slick spots on untreated surfaces. So careful out there. But by 9 o'clock, those winds are going to start to push that fog out. Sun will come out and you'll be good to go.
All right. Before we let you
have
go,
our regular Rob Lehman always giving us the report from Tigerton.
Oh,
good morning from Tigerton. It's clear and 25 degrees. Yesterday was a beautiful day and set a record of 53. People were out there riding motorcycles, UTVs, and classic vehicles around. Thank you for reporting, Rob Lehman from Tigerton.
That's
Speaking
fantastic.
Of those ATVs and UTVs, I know there's some discussions in Vilas County going on right now of snowmobiles. You know, the trails, they're only allowed to use snowmobiles in the winter, but they want to start using ATVs to keep that money going.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Greg and I were talking about it last hour that Governor Evers and others have put forward some emergency monies, at least temporarily, for folks in the tourism industry here in northern Wisconsin who have really felt the lack of tourism because of the lack of snow. So, I mean, hey, if they can get the ATVs going, at least that gives them something, right?
Absolutely. Thank goodness that's going through.
So, Brittany, here's first of all, I'm going to do some work on the air. This is fantastic. Well, not really fantastic, but because Todd procrastinated. Number one, what are you doing this afternoon? You want to come on our show and talk a little bit about El Nino later on?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, fantastic. I'll email you. I got your number.
Do you want me to get El Nino for an interview for you?
Yes, that would be great if El Nino could stop by the afternoon show as well. And
He's got nothing to do.
And here's really the question in the morning, because on this February 21st, here are your national days today. First of all, not a sexy one at all. National Grain-Free Day. Who wants to be grain-free? Come on. But here's the great one. Today, February 21st, is National Sticky Bun Day. Sticky. So Brittany Merlot.
That's sexy.
Well, it could be. Certainly reminds me of my college days. But anyway, Brittany, here's the question though. Are you a sticky bun person or a cinnamon roll? Because they're not the same thing.
What is the difference? I don't even know.
Sticky buns have a lot more caramel, or some people say caramel, on them, where a cinnamon roll is more kind of sugar and cinnamon and lots of frosting on the top. So it's a slightly less sticky bakery item, where a sticky bun is more of that caramel on top with probably some pecans or something like that.
Okay, well, I've never had one of those, so I'm going to have to say
Really?
cinnamon roll and try that.
You've never had a sticky bun?
I've never.
Brittany, today is National Sticky Bun Day. It's your day.
Today's
It's your day.
You've clearly offended Todd.
No, I'm not offended. I'm excited. I just wish I was there and could buy you your first sticky bun on National Sticky Bun Day and share it with El Nino.
I know, right?
He can't eat those. He's got a heart condition. He's got to lay off. He's got to be grain-free. He's got to be grain-free this day.
All right, Brittany Merlot, thank you very much for bringing this as El Nino. The Birkenbinder people are not happy, but we love you, so don't worry.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
You're the best.
Thanks
Have
a lot,
good day.
Brittany Merlot. We'll be back with more on the other side with Greg Bach. We are live from Hayward here, and Greg is down in Waukesha. We'll tell you more about the 50th Annual American Birkenbinder live here on Civic Media this morning. Filling in for Pat Kreitlow. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. All right, Greg, can you hear me?
It's Black History Month,
Hello,
and Civic
Greg.
Media supports the importance of this observance. But what do you really know about it? I'm Calvin Butenhoff, producer of The Earl Ingram Show. Our Echoes of Empowerment Black History Stories will offer thoughtful answers all month long. Now, here's Earl.
Did you know there was a time when African Americans couldn't buy their own homes? In 1948, the Supreme Court ruled the ban on selling property to black buyers was unconstitutional. Yet black people still couldn't purchase homes in white neighborhoods. The Fair Housing Act in 1968 ended this type of discrimination. but there's still work to do. Today, only 40% of black populations own their own homes. Listen for another Black History story here on Civic Media. I'm Earl Ingram.
You're listening to The Shaw, WAUK, Waukesha's home for the Todd Allbaugh Show.
That's okay. I thought our little wild time had just begun.
Welcome back to Civic Media This Morning. I'm Todd Allbaugh, in for Pat Kreitlow at Up North News. Pat returns next week after some well-deserved time off. We are here in our beautiful studios in downtown Hayward, Wisconsin. We are truly up north this morning at WBZH, the buzz of the north. The sun is coming out. It is a beautiful morning here, as you can see if you're watching this on the stream on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, what have you. It is going to be a beautiful day here in Hayward. Perhaps, as Brittany Merlot just told us, our meteorologist, a bit too beautiful, as folks here in Hayward would prefer it to be below freezing today for the remainder of the day as they try to get in these events at the 50th Annual American Birkebeiner. But they're going to do what they have to do, and events will continue, although be it a bit modified. Normally, the Birkebeiner would start in Cable, Wisconsin, about 22 miles north of here, and finish about a block or a half a block behind me out this window in downtown Hayward. But because of El Nino and the lack of snow, they have been making snow at various ski hills around the area up to an hour and a half, 2 hours away, and trucking snow in. And it is an elaborate process. I've visited some of the areas here over the last, we were up here about 3 weeks ago, kind of scouting things out. And there are people that have these cool snow plows in particular, not really a plow, but a trail plow that grooms these trails. And they are going to make it as good as possible, have the conditions as good as possible for the skiers who are coming in, cross-country skiers who are coming in from around the world, who are descending in the Hayward and Cable area for the 50th Annual American Birkebeiner. So looking forward to that. The first race actually kicks off later this morning here in the area for the American Birkebeiner, and we'll have reports on that throughout the day, especially in our show from noon until 3 this afternoon here on Civic Media. So invite you to join us for that. As they say, the show must go on, and the Birkebeiner must go on as well. Temperatures around the state at 22 past the hour of 7 o'clock range from, the teens, I think Brittany Merlot said here in this part of the state in some areas, but we are all the way now up to 27 here at our studios at WBZH. And also, we have temperatures in the 30s. Around 30 degrees in Green Bay and Wausau, and also near the La Crosse area as well. We get down to Madison and Milwaukee and also Racine and Kenosha. Temperatures already in the 40s. So certainly a big range of temperatures this morning across Wisconsin. Road conditions, those freezing conditions are causing for some slippery patches just north of Green Bay. Also Highway 29, Green Bay to Wausau, and here in the Hayward area as well, and also over in La Crosse. But south of Wisconsin Dells, going to be pretty good for the most part. Also the Fox Valley in good winter driving condition this morning at 23 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. Baseball news, of course, pitchers and catchers have reported the Brewers kick off their season spring training-wise this Saturday. You can hear that game across several of our Civic Media stations. Not on the app, though, because, of course, it is a major league game. The Bucks were off last night. Marquette will try to get back on the winning track tonight at home at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee as they take on DePaul at 8 p.m. tonight. And the Wisconsin Badgers men's basketball team got back on the winning track last night as they beat Maryland by a score of 74-70. That's a quick sports update for you. Want to go to some news from the state of Wisconsin from yesterday, and it's going to tie in nicely with our guests after the bottom of the hour from the Wisconsin Education Network. This from WisPolitics overnight. The state assembly yesterday approved a bill to overhaul private school funding systems. The assembly bill passed by a vote of 64 to 35 along party lines to overhaul the funding system for the state's private school voucher programs, sending the measure to the state Senate. Representative Christina Shelton, Democrat of Green Bay, said she was frustrated. The chamber was discussing the bill, AB 900, arguing Republicans were prioritizing private schools instead of talking about public school needs. Shelton called the proposal, quote, pure politics. She questioned why the state hadn't acted on recommendations by the 2017 Blue Ribbon Commission on School Funding, led by co-author Representative Joel Kitchens in 2017, including 90% reimbursements for special education funding. Quote, this bill in front of us does nothing to address the bipartisan, consistent recommendations that the task force put together that still exist for our schools today, unquote. That according to Representative Shelton, Democrat of Green Bay. She brings up a great topic, a great point here, Representative Shelton does, and we're going to talk about it after the bottom of the hour with our guest from the Wisconsin Education Network. And that is, while you hear a lot from Republicans about, oh, we put $300 per pupil into public education here in the last budget, what they don't talk about is the reimbursement to local districts for special education funding. Unlike private schools, public schools have to take all the kids. I don't think a lot of people realize that a private school only takes kids who they want, who they deem fits their needs for their private school. But public education is public education. They have to take all the kids, and several of these kids with either learning or physical challenges require lots of money for either more staff or equipment or services. And that all comes out of the local school district. So who makes up that shortfall? It's the local property taxpayers of that local school district. And thus, why we had to go to a lot of referendums last night across the state of Wisconsin, and we're going to update you on some of those results after the bottom of the hour. Back to the story from WisPolitics. Representative Kitchens, Republican of Sturgeon Bay and chair of the Assembly Education Committee, said the bill yesterday would not expand the school choice program and would simply move the funding off the property tax rolls. Kitchen noted he had reached out to Governor Tony Evert's staff to get his support for the bill, but was told they were not interested in discussing the proposal. Quote, they don't want a solution to this problem. They want to just keep using it politically. So all these complaints about special ed and everything else, we're here to talk about, but just don't complain about this, Kitchen said. AB 900 would decouple, quote unquote, the Racine and statewide private school voucher programs by replacing dollars for the state's voucher program paid through local property tax levies with state funding. The bill also includes a one-time revenue line adjustment equal to 25% of the impact of the school's tax levy to account for the change. But we're going to talk after the bottom of the hour here about this, what Christina Shelton so accurately said, Democrat from Green Bay, the fact that it does not address the 90% reimbursement for special education funding. And it's a huge cost. And public schools do not have the choice that private schools have. So 844-967-2789 if you want to weigh in, although we're running a little bit short on time as Todd finally looks at the clock there. Sorry, Greg Bach, I get reading and get into these things. And
you're good.
I lose track of time, you know. We come back and talk to folks from Public Education Network on the other side. Don't go anywhere. We are live from downtown Green Bay. Hayward. More coffee, Todd. From the Birkenbiter, you're listening to Civic Media.
Call me like the.
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing?
Good.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So who all we got? Just because my computer that this stuff is on is like 4 feet from me, so I can't see it. So who all have we got here on the who? Because I know Christian was sick. So who all is here?
Chris Hambach Boyle.
All right, very good.
And Bryn Horton.
Good morning.
Good morning. And if I read my notes right, Chris, you need to go first because you.
Bryn needs.
Okay, Bryn needs to go first, and you're both with Wisconsin Education or Public Education Network, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
And then
I have all the results from the referendums last night.
That's great.
Excellent. In the chat, it should be on the right side of your screen on StreamYard. I'll be putting up 3 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute as the Todd, are you having them on for you're just having for one segment, right?
Yeah, until the 50 mark.
Okay, cool. So I'll count 3, 2, 1 in minutes down. So just notice that if we're talking, we hit that 1, we got to start wrapping up so we can get to the music because we have hard outs at 48. At 49:20. So
thanks.
I don't want anyone to have to get cut off or not be able to talk about what they need to talk about.
Yeah. I missed that last time, so thanks for the reminder.
Not a problem.
So, Bryn, we'll start with you. And did you want to start with results, or what? Where do you want to start at?
Well, Chris has the results. I don't.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. No, that's okay. I can give quick legislative update, a little bit maybe more in depth than what you were just talking about. Not about the voucher bill, but what's going on in the legislature, if that works for you.
Sure. Absolutely.
And then when Chris takes over, I'll probably just pop off because I have to run to a meeting.
Do you want to comment on that? What I was just talking about this. I just think that people need to know that all these special education needs are not covered by the state. I think that's a huge deal.
Well, it's only covered at that around 30%.
All right.
Yeah, and Chris can talk to that too. If she wants to start with that, and then I can lead into legislative stuff, that would work too.
Okay, we'll spend like a minute or whatever you want on Chris on that real quick, and then we'll go to Bryn for legislative stuff.
Does that work, Chris? You know the voucher stuff inside and out, so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Good old Blue Ribbon Commission. Thanks for bringing that up this morning.
Right.
The Blue Ribbon Commission that went into the abyss.
Right. That's a good point.
I've been at this a long time.
All right, we're coming back in about where are we at here? No, about a minute and a half or so.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Todd, thanks for going all over Wisconsin. I loved it when you were in Superior in the hotel.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Looking at the bridge and.
Well, thank you. I scouted that hotel room out, and there, honest to God, there was a beautiful, like, picture perfect. The bridge was right over my shoulder where I was sitting, and of course the fog came in, and all you could see was the road going up to the bridge. And then as soon as we got off the air, the fog cleared, and you could see it perfectly.
Yeah.
Did it just look like the cars were disappearing into nothing?
Yes, it's like they're going up to heaven or something. I don't know.
We figured we should name that bridge the Biden Bridge.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm from Ashland, so
are you?
Northern Wisconsin's so dear to me, yeah.
That's cool.
All right, we're coming back in 30 seconds.
Thank you.
It's well-fed season. And of course, loving your pets like family season. There's a reason people say, if Fleet Farm doesn't have it, you don't need it. Because we have it all. Fleet Farm, built for real life.
Whether you're heading down Les Paul Parkway or fighting traffic on the interstates, this is The Shaw, 540 AM and 101.1 FM.
Welcome back to Civic Media This Morning. In for Pat Kreitlow at Up North News, I'm Todd Allbaugh here in our studios in Hayward, Wisconsin, as we prepare for the American Birkenbeiner, the 50th anniversary of. Greg Bach, our producer, engineer, and co-host this morning, is in beautiful Waukesha, WAUK, the Shaw. It is 34 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. We are joined this morning, as Pat is each and every Wednesday morning, by folks from the Wisconsin Public Education Network, a great organization that I have gotten to know a little bit over the course of the last year. We are joined this morning by Bryn Borton and also Chris Hombach-Boyle this morning. Folks, thanks so much for taking the time to join us on a balmy February morning.
Thanks for having us.
It is a pleasure. We were talking just before the bottom of the hour break there about this bill that was discussed in the state assembly yesterday. It passed 64-35 along party lines, and it had to do with private schools. And Representative Christina Shelton, Democratic Green Bay, saying she was frustrated the chamber was discussing this bill, arguing that Republicans were prioritizing private schools instead of talking about public school needs. And we talked about this, reimbursement for special education. Chris, talk to us just a little bit about your reflections on this bill and remind folks the burden on public school systems in regards to special education funding.
Well, I always look at all of this stuff relative to the bills that get brought up and the conversation that goes around it, that it's so complicated and convoluted, it's hard to understand. Mm-hmm. But right now, the bill is to decouple the funding for the voucher piece, which is there's three components to that voucher. So it isn't just money going to private schools. It's also money going to private schools for kids that have special needs. And it also is money going to new independent charter schools. And the voucher piece for special education right now is around 90%. And it's baked into state statute. So they're guaranteed that 90%, while your public schools, who take all kids and serve all kids with special needs, sit at about 30%. And so because of the funding that is so low and hasn't been fixed, we end up taking lots of money from the general fund in our public schools to make up that difference, because we are mandated by law, and right now private schools are not.
Last night, lots of referendums across the state of Wisconsin, and Bryn, some passed, some didn't, but this is why we have to have so many referendums, is because the funding for public school continues to come up short, particularly from the Republican-controlled legislature. Give folks an update, Bryn, on some of the highlights and lowlights of last night's election results.
Yeah, I'm going to pass that to Chris because she's got all of that referendum information right now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's okay.
I should have looked at my notes better. Well, Bryn, give us kind of the, I know you have to hop off here in a minute, but give us other legislative update from things that you're watching at the Wisconsin Public Education Network.
Yeah, I think the main point right now is our legislature is very quickly wrapping up their session for the rest of the year. The understanding is that the assembly will gavel out at the end of their last floor session tomorrow, and will not go back into session until they have elections and possibly new representatives elected next January. Mm-hmm. So any chance that we have of getting bills through the assembly will be tomorrow. So they are going fast and furious. I think they were there until the wee hours last night, talking bills and passing a lot of school district mandates. I'm on a school board here in Sun Prairie, so I take it very personally that they spend a lot of time mandating things for school districts to do when we talk a lot about local control of school districts. So one of the things that passed yesterday was this mandated half credit of civic education, with specific curriculum that they need to, that districts need to do. There was passage of competitive bidding, requiring school districts to go to competitive bidding and always take the lowest bidder during that process. There was legislation about mandating cursive writing in the elementary school levels. So lots of crazy stuff. That doesn't necessarily help our schools dig out of the holes that they have gotten into with the fiscal cliff and the ESSER monies disappearing, which is is why we're having to go to referendum at a crazy rate this year.
And when you talk about that, Brent, I mean, on its face, I mean, I'm one that says I wish that we'd be teaching more civics in school. I got no problem with that. And so you think on the face, well, this is great. We're going to teach our kids about civics. But to your point, what we don't talk about is, all right, what does that mean for the local school district? Do they have to add another position or a halftime position? Who's going to fund that? Who's going to fund the benefits for that position? And if we're funding that mandated position, what other position are we going to get cut at the local level to balance things out?
Yeah, and I think it's in the state of Wisconsin, to me, it's very hard when we mandate things to school districts because our school districts are so different. Mm-hmm. You know, you go from a small school district, Washington Island, of 50 students to Milwaukee Public Schools of 68,000 students. And so the opportunities that districts have to hire staff and be able to have that space in their day and their curriculum to be able to teach things that are required already, I think is hard. And the more you require, the harder it gets for schools to be able to follow through with those. And the large majority of districts already teach civics because kids are required to pass the civics test in order to graduate. So the majority of districts are already doing some type of civics education so kids can pass that test.
What about, cursive writing? I can't remember the last time I actually wrote cursively. Again, it seems like there are other things that we could be teaching our kids that are much more helpful, whether or not they're going to go into college or tech school or whatever, besides saying, again, we have to mandate now, amongst everything else that public educators have to get in their day. Now we're going to go back and say, we have to mandate cursive writing?
Yeah, and part of that cursive writing bill, too, I thought was really interesting was it not just having to teach it, but also kids have to show that they're good at it. And so there's a part of that, that there's some type of
I'd like to see these people
training to be done.
I think we should give a writing test to the state legislature and see how many. Believe me, I worked for a few. I will tell you, it was like Morse code. It's a secret. It's basically shorthand legislative writing, cursive writing. So
well, I do think my favorite bill this session that I saw come up that didn't get a hearing, of course, was having teachers the minimum starting teacher salary be equal to the salary of the state legislature.
That's good.
Which I thought was wonderful, especially since this year they're working 2 months and then they're going back to their homes and getting ready to campaign. So
right. Very good point. Eddie, I know you have to hop off here. You have other things. We really appreciate you taking the time. Any other things from a legislative side or things you want to share with our statewide audience when it comes to public education?
No, I just think this session was kind of a crazy session for education. They had we've been tracking over 200 bills right now in various introductions and states and places, and it's kind of hard to believe that after tomorrow that all goes away and we have to sit around and wait and see what everybody decides to do next time.
And I think really though, I unfortunately I don't hold a lot of hope out for one more day with Republicans in control of the legislature. But I think what this sets up, and if the maps that Governor Evers signed into law this week hold, I think they will. I think it does give people something to run on moving into November this fall and really, again, bring it home and hold people accountable who are running for office, saying what specifically are you going to do to help our local school district?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Brandon Borton, I appreciate you taking the time this morning. We appreciate you being here. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for taking the time this morning on, we'll call it Civic Media this morning, but it's basically Up North News. Pat will be back next week.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Also, have a nice day. Also, Chris Allbaugh Boyle joins us. Chris, you have the details for us, as the kids say, the 411. I don't know if they still say that. But you have all the details for us. Lots of referendums on public education last night. Give us some of your highlights from the last night's results.
Well, I stayed up so that I could put this together for you this morning.
God love you.
We had Burlington, Cumberland, Menominee, River Falls, Shiocton, Waterford, and Wilmot go for referendums during the election yesterday. On the list, which I can share with you, and you can take a look at that over time, We have many, many more going in April. And the November referendums still are not needed to be out there yet. So there'll be hundreds of school districts going to referendum. There were 10 questions across those 7 districts. 4 of the 10 passed for a 40% passage rate, which was, for me, very disappointing last night. And they were both operational and capital referendums. Capital being money that they needed to keep up their buildings and their infrastructure, and operational to do their day-to-day work.
And that's, that's something it's always hard for me to understand that some people in General Electric can't understand, don't get, that these are not for exorbitant salaries. These aren't for a bunch of perks. This is just to keep the kids in your school district safe in some cases, in buildings, and to maintain the status quo.
And many of these were tiny districts. They were small. So then you think about what is this impact going to be over time? For example, I wrote down Burlington. They went for an operational maintenance referendum, and they asked for $6 million for this coming year, $3 million for the year after that, $1 million for the year after that, and $1 million for a year after that, just to make ends meet. That's not a lot when you look at what the thank my husband serves me coffee. That was nice.
What a nice guy. That's fantastic. Your husband serves you coffee in the morning.
That was pretty good. So you can see how devastating not passing a referendum would be, and I hope Civic Media follows some of these districts down the road as to what this actually means once a ref doesn't pass.
Right. And so at Burlington last night, it's because it's kind of the screen's far away from me. So Burlington did or did not pass the referendum?
They did not pass it.
Yeah.
So I can tell you the specifics on those districts if you want to know what that looks like.
I'm interested in Burlington because I have a good friend who teaches there, and I know the insight from him was that if the Burlington referendum did not pass last night, it could very well mean that all or nearly all of their extracurriculars were going to be cut, including high school football, by the way.
And so then you see the frustration in your conversation at the beginning about the voucher pieces and the fact that they're trying to pass legislation to shore up that decouple bill will put that funding in a dark hole, and that won't let taxpayers know what's going on anymore, really.
And the irony is, of course, that Burlington is in the heart of Speaker Robin Voss's assembly district, at least for now.
Yeah.
About 2 minutes left here. We are talking with Chris Hombach-Boyle from the Wisconsin Public Education Network. About 90 seconds left. Chris, any highlights that you want to make sure people know about?
Well, I would like to talk a little bit about the network and the information that we can provide for people. We are fiercely nonpartisan. We like to provide deep information that people need to really understand public school funding. You can go to our website, wisconsonnetwork.org, connect with us. I'm the Northwest Wisconsin organizer. I hit all the way from La Crosse to Wausau to Iron County to Superior. And we try to really just help people and going to referendum, running for school board, that sort of thing.
Sounds great. You guys do a great work. And where can they find you again if they dial you up on the old www?
WisconsinNetwork.org.
WisconsinNetwork.org.
The voucher piece is in there too. There's an accountability site. Go in there. We can individually pull up each school district and you can see what their impact is for the voucher piece that is legislated and in state statute.
That's a great hit for people, again, as we approach campaigns, elections this fall, find out what's happening in your area. Chris Hombach-Boyle from Wisconsin Public Education Network, thank you so much for getting up early, as you guys do each and every Wednesday with Pat. He'll be back with you next week, and you guys will be back as well. Thank you so much for a great day.
Thanks, Civic Media.
Our pleasure. We're back to wrap things up with Mr. Greg Bach on Civic Media this morning, live from Hayward on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Before they can die.
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you too.
Can you predict the future? I can't. That's why when I'm planting soybeans, I treat with Heads Up seed treatment. With more than 15 years of research, Heads Up offers proven protection against both white mold and sudden death syndrome. So no matter what the year throws at you, you've already taken that first step to be prepared. Don't let your beans suffer from disease when they're just starting to look their best. Tell your seed dealer you need Heads Up seed treatment. Learn more at headsupst.com.
Do you owe back taxes? Call Tax Solutions now and get some help. For a limited time, the IRS offers a tax forgiveness program called the Fresh Start Initiative. Our team can make it easier for you to pay back taxes, avoid tax liens, and get a fresh start.
I call Tax Solutions now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Call Tax Solutions now. 800-281-8193. 800-281-8193. 800-281-8193.
Welcome back to Civic Media this morning. We are live in Hayward, Wisconsin with a gravelly voice. Pardon me, Greg Bach. Sorry about that. Todd Allbaugh here in downtown Hayward. And our studio is at WBZH for the 50th annual American Birkebeiner. Greg Bach at WAUK in Waukesha. Gearing up later this morning for Matt Nair on the Air with Jane and Greg. Anything of note you want to promote here coming up later on this morning?
We got Brittany Merlot stopping by as well. She's just coming by all day
long. She's a rock star, yeah.
I know. We're going to be talking about some really fun topics today. We'll probably be talking about the election yesterday, and it'll be a really fun time taking your calls, your texts. It's fun to see some of the same faces in the live stream that we have during our show, and we got some comments here. Let's see here. Here's one. Why is there a pile of wood in the WBZH studio? Is that
for our
to
fireplace?
Poke out the mosquitoes?
No, it's for our fireplace.
You have a fireplace?
Well, we're in Hayward, for goodness sake. We're here for the Birkebeiner. So you got to keep. I mean, we don't need it today because it's warm, but you got to be ready for.
Is Andy Williams there too?
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Gosh. We also, I wanted to read this before too. In the very beginning of the show, we were talking about pizza. We were talking about bowling alleys, and I told you that I was a bowling kid for nearly 16 years.
Yeah.
And texter from the 414 listening to WAUK on Civic Media said, also a bowling kid. The local alley would give us free games over the summer based on your grades. Folks would drop us off and tell us to bowl some games and keep us entertained during the summer months.
Look at that.
I love that. We should need to bring that back.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we should visit wouldn't that be a great segment? Visit bowling alleys across the state of Wisconsin. I think one of the oldest ones is still in Milwaukee, in the country.
I think you're talking about Causes. It's a mini bowling alley, so it's mini balls, and they actually have someone who sets up the pins by hand. Yeah,
isn't that fantastic.
Yep, it's really cool. But yeah, I'll Todd and Greg go bowling. I'll do it.
I'm down.
We interview people of note from Wisconsin, political leaders, community leaders, all while bowling.
53 minutes past the hour of 7 o'clock. Coming up next across much of the Civic Media Radio Network, our friend Earl Ingram with the Earl Ingram Show, and Kelvin as well. So always a great program. So be tuned in for Earl Ingram. And then, of course, Jane and Greg follow that with Matt Nair on the air. And we are back here live from Hayward from noon until 3 this afternoon. So looking forward to that, talking to some local people in Hayward. Remember, temperatures vary across the state of Wisconsin, still in the upper 20s to around that freezing degree mark in parts of northern Wisconsin, Amory over to Park Falls and down to parts, well, not so much Green Bay proper, but just north of Green Bay, and also at the Eagle over there in our station in La Crosse. Going to find some slippery stretches on roads at least until around 9:30. That's according to our meteorologist, Brittany Merlot. The rest of the state, Fox Valley, South Madison, WMDX over to WAUK and Waukesha, Milwaukee, and WRJN, Racine, Kenosha, all those areas this morning in good winter driving condition because, quite frankly, it feels a lot more like spring driving condition in that part of the state this morning.
Absolutely.
So, and don't forget, I asked Brittany, Greg Bach, It is National Sticky Bun Day. Are you a sticky bun guy or a cinnamon roll guy?
I'm going to go sticky bun. I love caramel.
I know, right? It's good. Although
cinnamon buns are just too much. It's just,
to me, I think this is great. You hit on something, because for me, cinnamon rolls, it comes down to two things for me. The ratio of sugar to cinnamon in the roll, and then the frosting. It can't be overly sweet, but you want a nice consistency of the frosting.
Agreed.
So it's National Sticky Bun Day today. That's the big news. So get out there and participate, if nothing else. Enjoy.
And for all of our grain-free friends, it's your day.
Grain-free, National Grain-Free Day. I mean, I know there are people that have issues. I get that, but I mean, I don't know. Enjoy some good bread, for goodness sake.
That might hurt their body, Todd. I know you have celiac disease and being around gluten might harm you, but here, have a biscuit. Just buck up and be a man.
I don't know. I need more sleep, I guess. I don't know. I was going after people that leave their ice shanties on the ice too long yesterday. I said, do we really feel sorry for these people? I mean, what's your opinion? Because here's my take on this. I mean, if there's open water on part of the lake, and you're like, well, geez, I'll just go around that to put my ice shanty on. I mean, I don't feel sorry for you if you fall in. I mean, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then our great EMS people and first responders have to go out and pull your rear end out of the ice because you were too much of a dope not to stay off.
I didn't think it'd be a problem.
Right. Exactly. I said yesterday. Well, the old David Letterman bit. Will it float? So let's see. Well, will they float? Turns out, nope. Too much Leinenkugels. Not going to float. Well, enjoy your day, Greg Bach. I know you got a couple hours until you and Jane are going to be on the air. We will be back tomorrow, filling in for Pat Kreitlow. He is back next week. We're going to be here tomorrow morning. We'll do it all over again from our studios here in Hayward, talking about the Birkenbeiner and all kinds of more information to start off the day, weather as well. So looking forward to that. And I'll be back with you later on today at around, not around, but at noon. You actually have to follow a clock.
And going till 3 o'clock, nonetheless.
Yes, yes, going to 3 o'clock.
Then take a nap, dude.
I kind of get one of these grooves where if you nap too much, then it's actually worse. You know what I mean?
I'm not telling you to take a 3-hour nap, buddy. I'm just saying, hey, take a 25-minute power nap. Recharge those batteries.
Do you do those? Can you do a power nap?
Yes, yeah. I have to take a nap not every day, but a couple times a week I have to nap because I have long work days.
Do you ever nap between this show and Matt and Air on Air?
No. As soon as I walk out of the studio, I start prepping for 10 a.m. Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if you just if Jane came in and you were curled up in the fetal position and just with a blanket?
Now, have I fallen asleep while prepping for Matt and Air? Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Well, Greg and I will get some coffee, and Matt, Aaron, and Greg will be ready for Matt and Aaron on air here in a couple of hours. Earl Ingram is next across much of the Civic Media Radio Network, and I'll be back for a nooner with you from noon until 3. So looking forward in nervous anticipation to that. And, of course, we'll see you right back here bright and early tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock for Civic Media This Morning as we fill in for Up North News with Pat Kreitlow. Thanks, Greg Bach, for being fantastic and for a great show. Thanks to all of our guests from the Wisconsin Public Radio Network, or Wisconsin Public Education Network. Get it right yet. And, of course, most of all, thanks to all of you for listening and for your comments along the way. We wish you a fantastic Wednesday, February 21st. We'll see you tomorrow from Up North.
To Southeast Wisconsin at 5:40 a.m. This is The Shaw, WAUK.
Hey, everybody, it's Todd Allbaugh. Noon till 3 on Wednesday. We are down